When I travel to Western European countries, I'm very impressed by the way they have kept the environment, especially Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Belgium, Germany. Even in the towns, there's a lot of planning to ensure that there's a lot of natural beauty. And what is most impressive is the fact that they have different bins for different kinds of waste, and therefore the waste is segregated at the source. There's a different bin for glass, for tin, for paper, for organic waste. So they are able to utilize that waste without actually spoiling the environment. Again, I would say it's the European countries, especially Western European countries and Singapore also. They have preserved everything, their heritage buildings, and they have so many museums where you can learn a lot about history, about science. It's very educative as well as informative and very interesting. The fact is that when you land in these places, you don't have to ask people what to do, even though you are a stranger to that place. Everything is well documented and labeled so that you know how to get out of the airport and how to get to the place that you want to go, whether it's a lake or a mountain, a faraway place. Everything is organized, so there's no tension about traveling. From my childhood, of course, I remember that the number of birds and animals and insects, these soldier ants used to be marching into the house by the thousands, and they could overpower anything. I used to watch in amazement with the civet cats and the mongoose, and all these kind of animals used to be there. Toddy cat is still prevalent. It is quite a nuisance. Coming to my adult life, I think some things which I read really which impressed me when in England they constructed a highway through a forest. They realized that during the particular season, the frogs in one area of the forest had to cross, and they were getting killed on the road. So devised a few tunnels under the road through which all of them could migrate to the other side. Similarly, what is really impressive, which I experienced in Africa, was the Rift Valley, which runs for about 5 or 6,000 miles from the north to the south up to South Africa. And all the countries that were adjoining this valley have made a tremendous effort to ensure that the migration of the animals from the north to south during a 6-month period and back from the south to the north during the next 6-month period in search of food and water are so well preserved so that the animals don't have any inhibitions about going through the valley. The valley itself, on some sides, the altitude is almost 6,000 feet on either side, and the valley itself is a couple of 100 kilometers wide. It's a fantastic sight to see that these animals have been following this routine for so many hundreds and thousands of years, and the people have now realized its importance, are trying to make sure that they don't become an impediment to the migration. Today, I think the most important environmental issue the world is facing is the demand on natural resources on Earth. If all the 7 billion people on Earth were to maintain a standard of living equal to that of a citizen living in Europe or America, then we would require the resources from 6 Earths. Therefore, we know that whatever we do today, it will not be possible to sustain this Earth with this population. The remedy is certainly to bring down the population, because otherwise there is certainly not going to be enough for everybody. And we cannot deny, on the basis of environmental preservation and sustainability or protection, that man on the street should not be allowed to buy a TV or a fridge or a car. If he has to have all these things, the resources on this earth are not enough. If we can follow the one-child policy, then in the next 100 years we can bring down the population to by 1/6. I think China did it, and we found that their standard of living just shot up. We cannot talk about sustainable development without talking about population control. I live in Kottayam. I studied mostly out of Kottayam, and every time that I took the train back and entered Kerala, I could just feel the difference in the environment and the greenery and the cleanliness. Till the late 80s, I think Kottayam must have been one of the cleanest towns in the world. But since then, with the packaging material and all the consumerism taking hold, the flat culture and everything together has created a huge problem about waste disposal. The people living around rubbish dump actually are living in agony because of the stench and the leachates and things like that. And it looks like the dump is a curse on them. This can easily be utilized, made into energy or into biodegradable waste, can be converted into nutrients for the plants. But no effective method is so far been established in Kottayam. So the best way to solve the problem in Kottayam is to segregate the waste at the point of generation. The municipality has been trying to encourage people to do that by providing them subsidy to have biogas plants installed in their houses, and they have also given them incentives to do something called pipe composting, where we use 9-inch PVC pipes put into the ground and all the waste can be dumped into it on a daily basis. And within a matter of few weeks, it decomposes. The municipality has also been trying to make a common biogas plant, but there has been not enough response from the commercial generators of organic waste like the hoteliers. Without a doubt, a visit to the dump, the Kottayam municipal dump, it's terrible. I wonder how the people living around it manage. The stink is unbearable. And after I came back home, the clothes were stinking. I had to keep it out of the house. It is so bad. This can all be sorted out and made use of, and it can be made economically viable to reuse and utilize all these materials. The technology is available, but there doesn't seem to be the social or the political will. The people who make the waste don't seem to realize the harm it is causing to the people where it is dumped. So while in one area there's a lot of awareness of the problem created by the disposal of waste, those who are not living there don't seem to be bothered about it at all. And also it seems to be lacking the political will. Apparently, in a place like India, unless things come to a standstill, no action is taken like it happened in Surat. And one more thing that is really painful for me to see is clogging of all the rivers with weed. Now that has become a problem because the waste being disposed into these rivers and lakes have solid nutrient value, and they are actually polluting the water, and therefore the hyacinth and the other weed is able to survive or proliferate abundantly. An advantage of having that much of weed is that we can actually convert that into electricity or into biogas. There are towns in Europe where the complete local buses run on biogas produced from the waste. And I think there's enough water hyacinth here for us to produce electricity or biogas, and we can make full use of it and avoid this clogging of the rivers. Basically, it's awareness. The people should be made aware of the fact that their action or inaction can affect nature and the environment around them. I think once people are aware of the negative aspects of their action or inaction on the environment, they would be willing to cooperate and do things which will not harm nature. Second part is to bring down the population so that the demand on the natural resources on the planet is reduced.